the quiet suburbs that lie just beyond the city's restless sprawl, where the houses are neatly spaced and the lawns trimmed with obsessive care, darkness sometimes seeps in through the cracks. On the surface, these neighborhoods promise safety, but beneath their manicured facades, secrets coil, waiting for the right night to stir. Tonight, as you settle beneath your covers and the world outside grows silent, let me tell you 3 tales of babysitting gone wrong. Stories whispered among those who know that not every family hides only dust in their closets. Listen closely, for sleep may come, but so do other things. The first story is called The Boy in the Corner. It was supposed to be a simple job. Emily, 17 and saving for college, answered the ad pinned to her school's bulletin board. The family, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, seemed pleasant enough. Their house a sprawling Victorian at the end of a dead-end lane. Their son Oliver was 6 and shy. The parents left promptly at 7, promising to be back by midnight. They left Emily with a list of numbers, a basket of snacks, and a warning to keep all doors locked. The night passed quietly at first. Emily put Oliver to bed after his story and settled on the couch, thumbing her phone. But soon she heard the patter of feet upstairs. She climbed the winding staircase and peeked into Oliver's room. He sat on the edge of his bed, wide-eyed and clutching his blanket. "There's a boy in the corner," he whispered, refusing to point. His gaze was fixed on the darkest part of the room. Emily flicked on the light. The corner was empty. She checked the closet under the bed, reassured him, and tucked him in again. But as she turned to leave, Oliver spoke once more. "He doesn't like the light. He says it burns." Chilled, Emily closed the door. She tried to shake off the unease, but soon the house seemed to groan with every gust of wind. At 10:30, a cold draft swept the hallway. Emily, shivering, noticed Oliver's door was ajar. She crept closer, hearing whispers, not just Oliver's voice, but another, raspy, sibilant. She pushed the door open. Oliver sat bolt upright, eyes glassy with terror. In the corner, the shadows seemed deeper, swirling. The air was thick, suffocating. "He's mad," Oliver whimpered. "He wants to play." Emily's heart pounded. She grabbed Oliver, running from the room, slamming the door behind them. Downstairs, the lights flickered. The walls shuddered with secret life. The phone in her hand was cold, the numbers on the keypad swimming before her eyes. At midnight, the Andersons returned. They found Emily on the porch clutching Oliver, both pale and shaking. When they asked what happened, Oliver only said, "The boy in the corner was lonely, but he's gone now. He went with her." He pointed to the window, where, for a moment, Emily swore she saw a pale face pressed against the glass, watching them with hollow, hungry eyes. The Andersons never spoke of it again, but Emily, whenever she babysits, leaves the lights on in every room, and never, ever ignores the corners where the shadows pool deepest. The second story is The Dollmaker's Daughter. In a town forgotten by time, where the main street's shops had long since closed, there was one house that never lost its sense of unease. It belonged to Mrs. Barnaby, a reclusive old woman with wild white hair and eyes like clouded glass. She was known for her dolls, hundreds of them, lining every windowsill, staring out with painted smiles. One autumn evening, Kayla, a university student, agreed to babysit me as Barnaby's granddaughter, Lila. The money was good, and Kayla told herself the stories she'd heard were just small-town superstition. Mrs. Barnaby greeted her at the door, her voice a dry whisper. "Lila is already asleep. Please don't go into the playroom after dark, and never touch the dolls." Kayla nodded, bemused. Once alone, she explored the chilly rooms, each one filled with glassy-eyed dolls, their faces eerily lifelike. At midnight, a soft giggle echoed through the hallway. Kayla crept upstairs, convinced Lila was awake. The sound led her to the playroom, its door slightly ajar. Inside, the moonlight revealed dolls perched on shelves, clustered on the rug, even hanging from the chandelier. In the center, Lila stood, silent and still, her face unusually pale. "I wanted to play," Lila said, her voice too old, too weary. Kayla stepped closer, and the dolls seemed to turn, their eyes following her. A cold wind swept through the room, rattling the dolls against each other like bones. Lila's lips curled into a grin that wasn't hers. "Grandma says I can have a new friend tonight." Suddenly, Kayla felt hands, tiny, cold, grabbing her ankles, her wrists. The dolls moving on their own, claws digging into her skin. She tried to scream, but the sound was swallowed by the dark. When Mrs. Barnaby returned, she found Lila asleep in her bed, and Kayla nowhere to be seen. But on the bottom shelf of the playroom, a new doll sat, a perfect likeness of Kayla, her eyes wide with terror, her mouth frozen in a silent scream. If you ever visit that house, you may glimpse the dolls in the window, and if you listen closely, you might hear the faintest whisper as you pass by, begging you not to look away. Our final story tonight is The Whispering Monitor. Jessie was new in town, a high school sophomore trying to make friends. When Mrs. Lee, a neighbor, asked her to watch her infant daughter Mia, Jessie jumped at the chance. The Lees lived in a modern house, all glass and steel, filled with light during the day. But at night, the windows became black holes, reflecting only what stood inside. Mrs. Lee hurried out, leaving Jessie with instructions and a baby monitor. Mia slept in her crib upstairs, as Jessie watched TV downstairs. The baby monitor crackled, white noise humming. Suddenly, a strange voice drifted from the speaker. Not a baby's cry, but a low, guttural whisper. "Come upstairs," it urged. "Come see her face." Jessie froze. She pressed the talk button, whispering, "Who is this?" The voice only laughed, a wet, rasping sound. She rushed upstairs, flinging open Mia's door. The baby slept peacefully, but the monitor on the dresser was still crackling. Jessie picked it up, heart pounding. The whispering grew louder, more insistent. "She's not alone," the voice hissed. "You're not either." Suddenly, Jessie felt a cold hand on her shoulder. She spun around, expecting to see Mrs. Lee, but the hallway was empty. Downstairs, the TV flickered, the volume rising and falling on its own. Jessie grabbed Mia and fled to the living room. But every time she tried to call Mrs. Lee, the phone died, the screen filling with static. The baby monitor shrieked with the static. Then the whisperer returned, now right behind her ear. "Let us in." The front door rattled. Windows thudded as if struck by unseen fists. Jessie clutched Mia, whispering prayers. At dawn, the noises ceased. Mrs. Lee returned, apologetic for the late hour. Jessie tried to explain, but Mrs. Lee only smiled sadly. "You're not the first," she said softly. "This house, it remembers. The monitors, they let things through." Jessie never babysat again. And sometimes, late at night, she hears whispers coming from her own walls, as if something followed her home, something that still wants to be let in. So, as you lie in bed and the shadows gather in the corners of your room, remember these stories. Not every job is as easy as it seems. Not every cry in the night comes from a child. And sometimes, when you're alone in someone else's house, you're not as alone as you think. Sleep well, but keep one eye open, and never ever ignore the things that whisper to you in the dark.